Hello, welcome back. This is another episode of That Millwall podcast. Joined by the usual suspects. I know some of you will be shocked that this is the third or fourth, maybe, show in a row that my co-host and co-founder and partner in crime, the one and only Ben, the one and only Omer, he's a fella, you all right?
I forget what you look like, mate. You've not been on the show since May, mate. How are you? You all right?
Yeah. When was the last time you were on before, mate? You can't say, yeah, let's. I can give you all the fucking big and there you can. Anyway, look at that. We're struggling. That's knackered us up with YouTube, mate. Having an extreme profanity less than 15 seconds in. That's screwed us there. But hey, who cares? Welcome to Ben. How you doing, Ben?
Evening, fellas. Looking forward to having a catch up. Seems like it's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while, hasn't it? So yeah, and obviously, the host of Who Are You? And if you want to get involved in there, drop him a DM before he says it. The one and only Stephen. How you doing, fella? You all right?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Not too bad. Looking forward to this. It's good to be back after the pre-season break.
That's it. So yeah, we're recording this on Thursday night, and it is night. It's fairly late for your viewing pleasure. This will be hitting you Friday morning, so we have to start off by saying happy Friday to you all. Those of you on your commute, it is just a few more hours until the weekend starts, but we're possibly going to ruin that weekend by giving you some transfer rumours and some other bits and pieces. So we'll start off then. Rumour has it from a fairly good source, I'm going to go with, that Fleming deal has been agreed with Burnley. Your thoughts, gentlemen? Go with you first, Omer.
So, what's the fee that's been agreed? Go on, tell us. What do we know? What do we know?
I don't know. I don't know any fees in a minute, but all I do know is that allegedly the agreement has been done. I think the second bid, Millwall basically said, this is refused, but if you come back with this, then we'll probably be able to do a deal. And I think Burnley have come back with a figure what Millwall wanted. So I'm hearing, again, it's sourcing some confirmed, but within the agent world.
I'm slightly devastated, I can't lie. I think, look, you buy and sell players, you want to try and set this model up, and we keep saying what the ideal is: buy players for £1-2 million, sell them for 12, 15, whatever it may be, the fee might turn out to be. If that's the case, and we've agreed a deal with Burnley, I think, you've got to have a value in mind. And, the club obviously stood strong, turned down 2 bids prior. If it's the third bid we've accepted in this scenario, I don't really want to lose Fleming, but at the same time, I hope the club's got some targets lined up and it can give us some more ammunition to go to the market and try and sign some players that could generate more value in the future. And then talk about £30-40 million that could come in the future, It's kind of the game we've got to play. It's how we've got to compete. Let's be honest, we're not going to get 30,000 fans turn up at the Den because we physically can't. So we've got to try and play to our sort of strengths really in this scenario. I think the only reservation I have is the impact Fleming has on this team. Yes, he scores goals. Yes, he contributes, but he's also a leader. And I think, last season, you look at Fleming's impact. Okay, he went hot and cold a couple of times, but you look at Fleming and see what he's about. It's going to be really hard to replace him. I know, we can go to the market, spend $5 million on another player to try and replace him, or however way you want to do it. I'm not surprised. Well, I'm surprised we've not tried to, bring Scott Twine into the deal or try and get someone on loan like that from them, for example. But I look at this and I feel like, it's a shame to lose him, but at the same time, a lot of money for the club, and we can try and, see how we can play with that from there.
Benjamin?
Yeah, I'm a bit echoing what Omer said there. I mean, look, it is a shame to lose him. Don't get me wrong, he had a great first season with us. I think, just from what everyone said, certainly Rowett in his interviews after Fleming had decent games, he always said that the Premier League's going to be his destination. I just think maybe we all didn't anticipate it to be this quickly, but after a season, we probably thought it might have been after next year or in 3 years' time. I think every player and club has a fee, and I think if the club have gone to Burnley and said, look, get to this number for us and we'll do a deal, that's obviously what the club value him at. Whatever it's going to be a hefty profit for the club, And I think if we're looking at it as a business decision, we've had a fairly low outlay, and we're going to improve quite heavily on that. With a hefty fee. So it's not going to be a bad deal from the club. I think probably like all of us, I think my only concerns is, do we have faith in the recruitment team to go out now and actually find the right players that are going to plug that 15 or 20 goal contribution gap, which is now what we're now going to need to do. I think it's a good deal for the club. I'm going to be sorry to see him go. He deserves the move, though. I think he had a decent year last year. I'm just concerned about how we are going to spend it, and if we can spend it wise enough.
Stephen?
I think there's a couple of things that, for me, that you'll never get the answer to, but it would be interesting and maybe something that we can discuss. Firstly, is how long has this been in the pipeline? Obviously, there's been rumours for about a week, but was Nesbitt brought in on the basis that Fleming was staying or going? Did we have a transfer plan with money for Zian Fleming, or did we have a transfer plan to have Fleming in the squad and people were going to come in around him? So it'd be interesting to see maybe perhaps when that interest was first, or contact was first made by Burnley. The other thing is obviously we're working on the assumption that the source that you have is quite accurate and that a fee has been agreed. But it'd be interesting to see, have we gone down do we ask for a player and money? Do we ask for a sell-on fee instead of a player, or what the deal's made up of? I think Millwall are not stupid. Millwall are a business. All football clubs are a business. They want the highest fee for their players. And if Burnley have hit a fee that they're happy with, then we have to trust that the club have put themselves in the best position, or that they see is the best position they could be in, having lost Fleming. If he goes, it'll be a shame. I think Omar's right. It's not just his goals and his assists. It's that he made some of our players want to be better footballers. He made players want to improve and want to show what they can do, and that's quite hard to find for a club like us. So, be a shame to see him go. We're going to miss a lot of qualities, but I just hope that the club put themselves in the best possible position for the rest of the transfer window with whatever fee or whatever deal they've agreed.
I actually feel Micky, I feel it's undervalued impact, though, what I'm saying about Fleming, because you watch him play, and there's games in instances where he's come out with broad chest and let's try and take this to the team again that we're playing against. Almost Steve Morrison in a sense, he was that kind of talisman for us, and I don't think we can underplay that. Listen, you've got a value in mind. The money's crazy. We don't turn over a lot of money as a club in general, commercially. We don't really bring in a lot of shirt sales. We don't really bring in a lot of match day revenue, whilst the club are trying to improve that, and you can see it visibly. But to replace that kind of talisman, it's a tough ask, mate. And you could sign 5 players. Look at Gareth Bale when he went to Real Madrid, for example. Spurs signed 9 players, and half of them end up doing naff all for them. Look, I'm happy with the revenue if it's the money we're looking out for and we're hoping for, but it's a big task to replace him.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think it's a massive gasp. But I think, go back to a point where you said there, Stephen, is when was the interest for Fleming come in, and were we looking to get players in to replace Fleming, as in heavy strikers, and we'll come on to the other players in a minute, are we looking at and stuff, and the midfields and stuff like that. Is that all in the back of the fact that they understood that Fleming was definitely going to be going? Because it's all right keeping hold of a player if that player really wants, but if he's adamant that he wants to go in the Premier League and he wants to go, there was all this stuff with Declan Rice you've been hearing, well, he's a business asset, it's up to the club who they sell him to. Well, yeah, but Real Madrid could come in for Declan Rice, and if Declan Rice, they offer 150 million. If Declan Rice says, I don't want to play there, then he'll run out his contract and he'll run it down, and then he'll go to Arsenal where he wants to play for nothing. So, I don't necessarily buy that way of thinking. But if you've got a player who wants to go, then go.
The big thing is the Nesbitt deal, because that kind of come out of the blue, because we'd been linked heavily with Dykes, hadn't we, a couple of days before, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh, Nesbitt signed £1 million, and it was done. I just wonder if he was brought in on the basis that he would be playing with Fleming, my opinion, I actually think that's the case. I think Nesbitt was brought in to bolster the attack, and Fleming was the plan was to have Fleming behind, perhaps him and Bradshaw or him, and then the interest from Burnley's come in. I think Nesbitt was coming through the door regardless of what happened to Fleming, but now the transfer window is completely changed.
I think you're right though, because like obviously with Nisbet, we was after him in January as well. So like we know he's been a long-term target, I suppose, in that sense. But I think you're right, obviously. But does it present an opportunity to someone like Eze to potentially play that role? I don't know. Like, can he do it? $1 million question. But it gives opportunities, I suppose, to change these up a little bit.
Well, that goes on to the News of Den article today, doesn't it? Where Gary was speaking about the youngsters, and there seems to be quite a few of the youngsters being given first-team training. And potentially a make or break, either if they look as if they can do it, we're going to bring them into the first team. If they don't, then we look at loans, or we look at selling, which I think is probably the right way, because I think there's, as much as there's probably 4 or 5 at the moment what look as if they could come into the first team, there's probably another 4 or 5 who aren't necessarily getting into the under-21s team because of those players at the moment. So you sort of need to move them along as such, so that then you can start bedding in the next generation of coming in. And allegedly, so I've been hearing that we've got some really good talent coming through Millwall, like the younger age group coming through. So fingers crossed there, it works. But it's nice to see them in it.
It's no surprise to see Tyler Bury be moved on, because you've got the likes of Maku there, albeit slightly different profile, maybe more of a prolific, more of a striker out and out, but you've got to move these players on to not stagnate the progress of the players that are coming through. So I agree with you, Micky. But it's obviously the $1 million question. How do we change and how do we line up going forward? But I do agree with Stephen. Obviously, I don't think we've factored this in. And Ben said it earlier, like, we hope to hold on for a few more years. But ultimately, if the price has been hit and it's ridiculous money for Millwall, let's be honest, was it Savills that record transfer was £7-8 million? It's changing money for us, but just hopefully Aldo and his team have got some targets lined up for us.
No, that's it. Go on, Ben. Anything else on Fleming?
It was just kind of on Omer's point in terms of the impacts that Fleming has on the squad, but it'd be interesting now to see what the squad make of it. So say he's going, he's gone. Do the squad view it as we've lost our talisman, or it shows a bit of a lack of ambition from the club, we've lost him? Does that put the rest of the players on a bit of a downer? But as in the current players that are here, but then externally, I think it's quite a good thing for us, because I think players now that we may target that are in a similar mould to Fleming, the younger sort of players that we want to be targeting to try and make profit on, to try and progress them, it might make us a bit more attractive to players. So, okay, actually, well, look, Mill done it with Fleming, they signed him for a year, he had a good season, and then he got his move to the Premier League. So I think it's a really interesting one to see how it will be viewed internally by the current squad and how it will be viewed externally with players that we're potentially looking at.
Is it a downside as well, though, Ben? Because clubs know we have £10 million to spend. So, like,
I was hoping someone was going to mention that. Yeah. I think that's a really interesting thing, because we all know we're quite tight-lipped in terms of transfer fees, targets as well. And we said, look, Nesbitt coming kind of under the radar, and the fee, again, there's been multiple that have been bad about. Yeah, I think now it makes it, if clubs know that we got 10, 12 million in the bank, and we're going to be a bit desperate to get a real top player in, I think we may end up overspending. But again, look, we're probably in that market now anyway, because no clubs want to lose their best players, right? So it's going to make things harder for us. It'll be interesting again to see whether we dip our toes back into that foreign market, if we go back to Holland again and have a look, or if we're going to look a little bit more in the Football League or players that are out of favour in lower sort of Premier League clubs. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what we do.
I mean, the other player was obviously, again, the sources are saying that it's a done deal with Joseph Bryan. That should be announced. I don't think they do many announcements over a weekend. I think probably it will be announced on Monday, to be honest, rather than the weekend. But again, free transfer, signing on fee paid by the club. And I'm hearing that he's on a good wage. Purely because he was on good wage, but there's no signing on fee, so you make the signing on fee tagged on top of there, don't you? I mean, realistically, what I didn't realise the other day, was if you think about it, 20 grand a week, it's £1 million a year, isn't it?
I think though we've got to the point. I said this to you, I think might have been earlier, Micky, that we're at a point now where we can't just do things like on the cheap with all the time. Like we're competing at a level now where wages are higher in the Championship, where there is competition, and if you want these players if you want these players to come through the door and there's certain targets, you're going to have to pay them the going rate. So the fact that we haven't had to pay a fee, it says to me, I have no issue with him being one of the higher earners, based on the fact that we haven't had to pay a fee. I get that, you talk about the unrest in the squad and other players might want this, that, or the other. But if you want to be successful in the Championship now, looking at, Leicester have bought Harry Winks, they're after the guy from Swansea, Pirro, I think. They're going to be chucking silly money at them. So we have to up our game and pay players what the going rate is.
I just don't think the Championship now is 5,000-10,000 a week arena. Now, if you want the quality, you've got to be paying 15, 20, maybe 25 grand a week on certain players, because otherwise you're just going to be having, the B team compared to the thing. And it'll be interesting this season. Again, we've not done our prediction show yet, but that'll be coming shortly. But, the talk is by a lot of people in the know is Leicester is going to piss it.
Well, they've got the finances and the resources behind them, ain't they? Let's be honest. I think what begs the question is what we're going to do with that money. I, for one, personally, will be straight after that defender that we had on loan from Leeds last year, in Charlie Creswell. If there is a release clause, if there's something there, I actually also think he would consider the move. I know he's a Leeds boy, Leeds through and through, but he's guaranteed to play for us this season, I think. I think he knows it too. And if Millwall can call in, if you're Charlie Creswell, he's playing at the 21s tournament in a minute and stuff like that, but surely Millwall got to be thinking, right, if we get 10 to 12 million pounds in, you go and get Charlie Creswell. Mm-hmm. I think that's priority number one for me. I know we're losing Fleming, losing a big output on in the attack, but you've got to get that player in, because that's
you could go after Styles as well.
No,
I would.
I wouldn't.
I wouldn't be against it, but I don't think I'd pay the £3 million they're asking for him, to be honest. I said it on Wednesday in the show there, but I don't think Styles set that world alight. Admittedly, Styles is unbelievably technically, great footballer. Potential is unreal there as well, but I don't think he set the world alight to suggest that we must go and get him.
The Creswell piece, Omer, going back to that, again, it's the sort of player that we're talking about where we sign him, he has another 1 or 2 great seasons with us. Our Premier League side is 100% going to come knocking for him.
Correct.
He's another 10 million, 12, 15 million pound player. He's English as well. He's probably going to get some English tax on that. You could be looking at 20 mil in a couple of years.
I agree.
If you can get him in as a release clause, again, which has kind of been mentioned or rumoured, you have to go and get those players now. And going back to your point, Stephen, we can't keep doing things on the cheap. If we've got that money, go and get these sorts of players, because it's the only way we're going to improve the club immediately and in the next 5-10 years.
I think just on the Callum Styles, I've got nothing against him. I think he's a good player. It's not that I don't think he doesn't play.
Sorry, he doesn't watch his show. None of his mates do.
Not like Danny McNamara and all his mates when you threw me under the bus on that on the Alfie Plant show. No, I think he's a good player, but the fact Omer hit the nail on the head, I don't think he's worth the £3 million. I don't think £3 million on a player that we didn't see as much of him as I'd have liked. And I just feel like that if you're going to sign, we signed Fleming for 1.7 million, and then you sign Styles for 3. When you look at it like that, I just don't see that. I don't see it would be a good deal for us. If we can get that fee cheaper, yes, but Barnsley are just going to hold on to him because they know they can.
Don't you think it's strange that it's gone quiet? Watford are meant to be interested in, right? And then, I know, maybe Federer Ishmael used to have him as a player and stuff like that at Barnsley, but it's gone a bit quiet. Even Watford must be thinking like, we don't want to pay £3 million for him.
I know they're slightly different players, but Tom Ince has just gone there as well. So they have brought in another kind of winger attacking player, if that's where they're going to play Styles. So maybe they've moved on. Maybe they don't want to pay the fee either.
Would you have liked Millwall to go after him? Because allegedly, I mean, there was like a £50,000 release fee, wasn't there?
No chance.
Personally, no. I wouldn't have wanted him.
No.
Yeah.
The fact I wouldn't side him for the fact that Paul Ince has to turn up and watch him play games as well. I mean, that's just it's a no.
And also on that, with Paul Ince, you find that if it didn't go well, Raul was sacked, he'd probably be the favourite for the job.
He must be in the ear of all the club owners when he goes to directors' games and stuff like that to sit in the boxes and stuff. He must set himself fucking so well, honestly, to get the jobs he does. Like, I agree. Like, there's no chance I'll touch Tom Ince, and he is very love-hate, and the fans wouldn't take to him from day one. Let's be honest. They never have done. They never would.
No. So, right, we're looking. There was another one will come out today. I'll let Ben pronounce his name because I'm not going to. But the guy from Mother, is it Hearts, isn't it? Hearts.
Josh Ginley.
Josh Ginley. There you go. Who's refused his contract and leaving them on a free. Again, another player potentially on a free. What again? Hearing that potentially we might be looking at him. Is that a player what you think would be suited for us? We do seem to be looking at a lot of midfielders. So again, you see, the thing is, if you remember last year, Omer, towards the beginning of the year when you used to do shows with me, we used to talk about Gary Rowett and his videos that were online with it was heavily midfield focused, wasn't it? With his training videos, he's got a couple online where they're heavily midfield focused. Get the ball quick, get it out to the runners, and go from there. Possibly is this showing where he's looking at putting pace into the team this season?
I think he likes midfielders, and like if you don't remember, 2 years ago when we first played QPR at the start of the season after lockdown, we didn't play 5-2-1-2, whatever dimensions you want to put it as. We played 5-3-2, and it was 5 defenders, so 3 centre halves, 2 wing backs that bombed on, and then it was 3 midfielders that were up and down, up and down. Do you know who I think will benefit from that, by the way, is George Honeyman. I think George Honeyman on the right side of midfield in the midfield 3 would be unbelievable. And I don't know if Wright has this vision still that wants to do that. We have 1 holding and then 2 either side, Saville potentially and Honeyman or whoever we try to sign. I think he wants to go back to that. And I think he likes the idea of having 2 quick sort of nippy forwards. And that time it would have been during lockdown, Bennett and Jed, for example. Remember them doing so well together during lockdown. I think he wants to play that. I think that's what he wants to go to. And I saw us play it against Ipswich away in pre-season of that season. And we were unbelievable. I think Evans was on one side, Saville's on the other. I think, you could see it work. And I think he does want to potentially play that. And even Evans was there. No, unbelievable. I know. Evans, I know. I'm not saying Evans is the answer for that, but I think he likes the idea of playing that sort of formation. And with that, you can change it up a little bit and have, a number 10 in there and play 2 whole midfielders and try to change it about. But I think if we look at midfielders, is there potentially a departure there? Because I've seen Billy Mitchell be linked to Werder Bremen. Should we be concerned about that one? Let's throw that one into the open.
I was just about to say, do we go into the rumour what's flying around, what we've all seen about, and I don't know if it's widely been seen, but yeah, Billy Mitchell's allegedly being eyed up by Ollie Burke's team, isn't it?
What are they called, Micky? What's the team called?
Got no idea, but I've got no idea in German football, mate. So yeah,
Werder Bremen.
After the abuse I got, that's it. After the abuse I got after I'd done the show with the Dutch guy, and some fella left a comment going, "Christ, I can't believe that the Dutch guy speaks better English than Micky." Do you know what I mean? It was like, right, that's it. I'm not even gonna mention any name what I think's difficult from now on. Do you know?
It was bag on as well, by the way.
He was. And listen, thank you very much for all of you that watch on YouTube. Your comments, if you do comment on the shows, they all get read and they're highly amusing, especially if you dig out one of us, then the rest of us have ammunition to take the piss out of everyone else. So we do read all your comments. So yeah. Dig him. There you go. Or him.
But Billy Mitchell, come on, Ben or Stephen, is he leaving? I mean, I can see why clubs would be after me, but I would hold on to Mitchell with everything I've got, personally.
If I want to lose 2, I think, so if we're losing 1 or Fleming or Mitchell, I'm far happier losing Fleming than I am Mitchell. The only good thing I would say is when that rumour got bandied about in the group the other day, I did search just to Google Billy Mitchell, Millwall, and nothing came up. So normally that's quite a good sign. But yeah, if I'm losing 1, I'll drive Fleming wherever he wants to go. We can't lose Billy Mitchell.
I was going to say the same thing. I think some people will go, Fleming's sack of midfield, goals, blah, blah, blah. But I think Billy Mitchell is coming on leaps and bounds year after year. If he didn't get injured when he did, he'd have won Player of the Season by a country mile. I don't think there's any debate in that. And I just think Mitchell is someone that you can really build the team around longer term. I think it would take a lot to take him away from Millwall. I know, Premier League ambitions and stuff, but I don't think he would like force a move. I don't think he's that sort. I think it would have to be, a decent fee. But yeah, if we could keep one out of Fleming and Mitchell, I'd agree with Ben. I think we have to hold on to him. If
Mitchell was Dutch, Millwall fans would love him more. I know we love him, right? But in another chat I'm in, he's still got labelled Sideways Billy in one of the chats I'm in.
We'll have a man in there, Omer, if you want. We can call him Billy Van Mitchell if you like.
Do you know what I mean? Billy Van Mitchell, there we go, it's sticking. But because it's like, okay, I understand where people come from. He gets the ball and passes it back, but he cycles the play so well. And I think he's key to what Raro wants to do. I think he's the most crucial bit of that jigsaw. I really do, because our defenders, they can't really get the ball at their feet quick enough to pass it out. You give it to Mitchell, and Mitchell does make it happen a bit more. But I couldn't believe it when some people criticise him. Okay, he doesn't get the stats to score goals and assists, but he's crucial to what we do. I will never have anyone say otherwise either.
This is going to sound a bit nuts, and this isn't a direct comparison to the player, but if Southampton lose Ward-Prowse, which they're probably going to, he's the sort of player that I could honestly see Southampton buying, because he's just a lovely footballer, tidy footballer, box to box, full of energy, young. He's that sort of mould that if he went to a club like that, I could really see him going on to that next level. I think he's that good. I'm not comparing him to Ward-Prowse. I'm saying if they lost him, he would be that sort of easy fill for them on they would have to break the bank to get him. And I think he's just someone we have to build this team around. He's not going to go and get you 10 assists or 10 goals, but for me, I don't think there's many better central midfielders than him in the Championship.
He keeps it ticking, I think, in my opinion. I think that's the most underrated thing to have, I think. Go on, Stephen.
Yeah.
I was going to say, one thing you just said there, Omer, and it's just, again, something to bow out to you guys about our defence that can't get the ball out quick enough, which I agree 100% with. That's why I think Cresswell would be an excellent signing, because he can do that. However, Jake Cooper, into the last year of his deal, because he's got the extra year, isn't it? This is the extra year that Millwall activated. There was contract talks about 3 months ago. Heard nothing since. No one's reported anything. If a club come in for him, would you cash in, or would you do what we did with Jed and hope that he signed?
If he's not signing between now and the end of July, you have to cash in on him, surely. You've got to learn from your mistakes there. Okay, we might get 15 million from Fleming. That's exaggerating the value there, but surely you got to kind of turn around and go, listen, sign a contract or we'll put you up for transfer. No,
I hope they get a deal done. I thought last year Cooper was excellent. When Hutchinson got injured for a long spell, he took the armband, and at first you kind of think he doesn't come across as he's not a shouter. I know he's physically imposing. He doesn't look like a leader, but he really stepped up. I thought, and I would be quite disappointed if he doesn't sign a contract. And I agree, though, if he's not going to sign, I think if there's clubs that want him, I think we're going to need to look to try and take some money, because you can't just let another one walk out the door.
I said to Micky last week when we done a show, I was like, I think it's formality. He signs on the first day of pre-season, it gets announced, but we're 2 days in and nothing's come out yet. I still think it's a formality, surely, because I think Cooper, whenever he speaks about Berylson and the club, is always really in high regard, and I think he's noble enough to go, if he's not going to sign, he'll expect to get moved on, I think, surely. But I don't know. It's a weird one.
I'd like to think. That's the other question. Who the defence is so, let's face it, is weak at the moment. It really is weak. So it's catch-22. Do you let a really good defender walk out the door because he's not signing the contract, and then you're left with another position to fill, or not? I don't know. I hope they get something done.
Especially if he plays a back five as well. You're in trouble. Or you're saying about Billy Mitchell and how good he is. Do we give? You said him earlier, Micky, the youth. Do we try and see what these lot are capable of? Well, Cody's linked to a move. Talk about that.
Yeah.
He was linked to Rochdale, weren't he?
Yeah, it was Rochdale.
Yeah. Go on, Micky.
I know. I just think that, have we got some of the youth defenders who could potentially come in and play, if we get rid of Cooper. But again, it's
I sit with it, like, if they're good enough, they can play. But also, you can't ignore the fact they're the best non-Premier League under-21 team in the country. They've proved it. They've won the league for it, and then they won the title. So they're best in the south, and they beat the team that's the best in the north. Okay, over one game, but you can't ignore that. And surely the club must be thinking there's got to be something we can do here to get these players involved. I'm not saying we should pay 5 of them in the first team at the first game of the season, but you've got to be looking at these players and go, there's some serious talent in there. You've got to utilise it and use it. And also, it makes more value because if they do hit the ground running, one of the 5, they're worth 5 million all of a sudden. Eze is probably worth 5 million now. I hate to say it, but it's crazy, but it's true. Let's be honest. He's scoring goals for England.
Well, yeah, we'll come back. We'll come on to him in 2 seconds. But the problem you've got, how many of those youth teams have got a pro contract at the minute? Because if they haven't, then you're only talking compensation, which ain't a lot.
It's not a youth team, it's 21. So I think a lot of them will have pro contracts because it's 21s.
I think the other thing to
So it'd be interesting to start there to see what's what. But yeah,
the other thing is as well, it would be interesting. I know we might not know, we don't know them as well, but it would be interesting to see how Sheffield United, for example, see their youngsters. Are any of them going to get an opportunity in the Premier League? Like, do they think as much of their youth players, obviously we played them in that game, as what we do? We're talking about some of our players looking to go into the first team. I think the problem with the youth, and it will always be, Micky, I think Micky touched on it, is the contract situation, because they're never going to be given huge contracts. They're never going to be given, unless like SA, who we all know, the golden boy at the moment, you're always going to have the bigger fish come.
he's potentially going.
Yeah, and then that's it. The England under 18.
Liverpool are looking at him. Yeah, it all depends if he keeps putting away for England. And the problem is that what you have with a problem as well is that once your youth players are being picked for England, then unfortunately they can get tapped up fairly easily. Other players, agents, etc., they're out of your protective bubble, and they're into the England setup where, let's be honest, agents and friends of friends and all of this will get access to them. It happens. We know it happens with, the senior team. But there is room.
I don't know.
For SA's going for about 3 million.
I'll just say I don't know what the England under-19 setup looks like as well, but I can't imagine there's too many Football League clubs being represented there, if any.
No,
the last.
They're not really big clubs, aren't they?
The last team that was put out, I think it was two players from the Football League. One was SA, and the other one I think was Bellingham.
Joby Bellingham, yeah.
Yeah, and the rest were all from Premier League sides.
And it's one thing being picked, it's another thing scoring goals. Like, he's grabbing headlines. Like, even if he's not playing amazingly, his value is going up exponentially, probably, I imagine, because he's scoring goals for them as well at that level and doing the business amongst them sort of players. And it's gonna stand out.
Can you imagine, just say, for argument's sake, the interest from Liverpool is there, but nothing happens. He stays a Millwall player. And between the 5th of August and the 31st of August, we'll play about 4 or 5 games. If SA hits the ground running and gets a couple of goals for us, I honestly can see come the end of the transfer window, someone coming in for him.
You look at that Fabio Carvalho, the geezer that Fulham lads. He was 19, weren't he? And scoring bundles, got 18 even. And Liverpool signed for £10 million in the end. So I think you got the right exposure for him. I think Rao says he's going to play games this year. So, I mean, I think he doesn't go this summer, personally. I think it doesn't happen. But it will happen eventually if he does what everyone hopes he does, let's be honest.
Yeah, we'll wait and see on there. But, yeah. I suppose the other one, in Rowett's point where he raised, didn't seem that good in the news at Denford, was Alex Mitchell. Again, another defender, isn't it? Is he good enough for the Championship?
Who knows? Who knows?
I don't think they're sure on him, personally. I really don't. They never say it. They'll never ever say it because they're not going to dent the young player's confidence. But the way he spoke about SA and told everyone he was going to play games and he's looking to be a star, and then he spoke about Alex Mitchell, having the exposure, but we'll have to have a look at him, etc. I just don't think they're sure on him.
He played 27. I mean, and again, I know it's Scotland, but he played 27 times for St Johnstone last year. He could, if he wanted to, he could draw direct comparisons with Danny Mack. I get one's a fullback and one's a centre half, but you could. It would be interesting, but I do get that feeling, like you said, Stephen, they're just not sure on him.
I think he also played in the same league against Kevin Nisbet though as well. Do you know what I mean, Ben? Like it's got to be of standard, right?
Yeah, I mean, before that he was at Leighton Orient. But I'd imagine he's going to be in and around the squad, right? Or they're going to get rid of him on for a fee. He's going to be sold, isn't he? I can't see him going out on loan again this year.
He's won Young Player of the Year at all three of them clubs as well. I'm pretty sure. So undoubtedly there is something there about him. I think the criticism will probably be about his footwork, if whether or not he can do that.
Yeah,
that's probably what seems to be the drawback.
And if we don't, I mean, we are all assuming, and we've all said it on shows that we've done, that we think Rowett's going to go to a 3-back or the 5 when you take into consideration wing backs. But if he doesn't, and he goes with 2 central defenders, I don't think we can last a season. And I mean, no disrespect to them, we can't have Cooper and Alex Mitchell as the 2 centre halves because they don't have the footballing ability to be able to play how Rowett wants them to. So unless you do go to a 3, I don't think Mitchell can play.
Turn into Titanic.
Yeah,
but what you can
I say double decker bus. I say,
but you could do Cooper and Creswell though, couldn't you?
Or if Murray Wallace is a left centre back and then you play Cooper in the heart of the defence, that's also something.
I think the fact that
Murray Wallace offers more left centre half, I think, than he does at left wing back. If Joe Bryan's a left wing back,
I think that's what I was about to say. That's exactly what's going to happen. Is I think if we've signed Joe Bryan, which we all think we have, then I'd imagine he's going to be looking at moving Muzza back to being a centre half or that left-sided centre half.
Don't forget he's on contract until Saturday. He's still under contract with Fulham until Saturday. So we're not going to. We could announce possibly that he's had a medical and everything else, but we're not going to be able to announce realistically that he's signed for us while he's still under contract with them.
Didn't think of that one, but I'm pretty sure clubs normally do announce them early. But I didn't think of that one. A good point.
I think that's why I'm hearing that it'll be over the weekend, but that's why I think possibly it'll be Monday. They're doing an announcement on Monday, and then we'll go from there. Right, we're a little bit longer in than what it was, but I wanted to touch on obviously there was a video out this week, and it'll be good to you. I know a few of us watched it. I don't know if Ben has, but Ben will play along and pretend he has. It's from #United. I'm not their biggest fan.
Well done, by the way. Great pronunciation.
Huh?
Great pronunciation, mate. Well done.
Yes, yeah. You know what other word I can say as well? Is Spencer and the other fella from #United. They were under the same Hummel deal with the elite group as Millwall was, and unless you've been living under a rock or you've not really known about it, basically Hummel had a UK license operator in the UK. What was a company called Elite, the Elite Group,
Elite Sports Group.
Elite Sports Group. There you go. And basically they distributed and done all the deals for Hummel shirts within clubs. So they range from Premiership clubs, the likes of Everton, Coventry, Southampton, Millwall, #United, and league teams all the way down the league. There was probably about 80, 90 teams they supplied kit for and merchandise and everything else. Through the #United video, we knew obviously Millwall was in a bit of pain from this, but we didn't really understand how much pain they were in until you watch the hashtag. I mean, you two watched it. I mean, did it bring home potentially the amount of pain? And I know some more onto that, so I can go into a little bit of that in a minute. But did it bring home potentially the amount of pain Millwall was in after watching that video? And we put the link in the video on the description on both the pod and the YouTube.
There's multiple things that come from it. Also, the timing they went bust. It was just before Black Friday, and I think at the time it obviously raised a lot of questions. But you got to think like just before Black Friday on like a e-commerce sort of level, that's a serious kind of downfall and a lot of revenue lost out on the club. it's weird the dynamics of it. But hashtag said like their deal was they didn't, and also this is why it might explain the club shop might have shut, because obviously the club shop was shut too at the time. But they outsourced all of it, and obviously Mill might have done the same thing. It sounds like, because the club shop shut until they got it back under an umbrella. So then with that, right, it's like you lose a lot of money, a lot of revenue, but also you're entrusting there's someone else to supply your kit. I get it, don't get me wrong, and I'm sure it's done. I know it's actually done at a high level with the likes of Nike, for example, with Chelsea, Liverpool, and stuff like that. But it's obviously like, if something sounds too good to be true, it feels like to me, it probably is too good to be true. I hate to be that sort of critique, but like it's the nonsense of it. It's ridiculous. It is crazy. Like you heard it too, Micky.
Yeah. I mean, I'll tell you what it was at Millwall. So basically, at Millwall signed a deal with the Elite Sports Group, and under that, they basically become their retail partner. So the whole shop, pretty much lock, stock, barrel, printing machines, the number machines, the tills, the computer system, the EPOS, everything in that shop was Elite. So the minute Elite went pop, the shop was locked down for administration. The club didn't own any of the materials in there. The club couldn't legally sell anything in that club shop because of the administration. And the biggest problem, which is now because of the hashtag video, you can watch it and actually see and understand, is that a lot of fans were trying to buy stuff around Black Friday and everywhere else.
Christmas.
And allegedly, Christmas slightly different because Millwall suddenly pulled a few things and managed to get the stock, which we'll go back into in a minute. But Elite was basically still having an active website run through Millwall's website, a mirrored on e-commerce, and basically selling you stuff, but weren't sending you anything out. And they were controlling all that data. So the problem you had is that everybody who brought something could go to Millwall and complain, but Millwall didn't even know that you brought something. Until you produced your receipt, Millwall didn't have a clue that you'd actually brought something, because all the data was owned by the Elite Group. And that's I mean, it gets a lot deeper, but that's that pain on a club where you've got a club shop situated next to the ground, but you can't even fucking put a key in the door because it's not yours. You're not allowed to enter it because of administration rules. It's just fucking crazy and painful for a club like Millwall.
The biggest problem with it, I gather, sorry, obviously hashtag we're talking about it, but I was looking at it from our point of view. We're not a club, as we know, that particularly sell loads of shirts anyway. So, but the ones that we do sell are crucial. It's still income that we would rely on. So, it doesn't matter how many you sell. If you cannot sell any, it impacts the pockets of the club. I think Omer, you just said there, sometimes things can be a little bit too good to be true. Which the club, and we've discussed this so many times, off the field are trying to improve. They're trying to get better. They're trying to make the experience better. They're trying to encourage more revenue streams and things like that. However, you run the risk when you go down and sign an agreement with a company that do have all the rights over everything. They took the risk and they were burned. And I think the Fanatics deal now, I reckon it's Millwall. Again, they've taken a bit of a risk. Of course they have, because it's something that we've never really ventured into, but they're trying to find something that makes them a little bit better commercially. And last year it blew up in their face a little bit. But I don't think there's any fault of their own.
I mean, if there's anyone listening, hang on. I was just saying, if there's anyone from Fanatics who just happens to stroll across our show, please get in touch and we'll give you a few ideas of potential shirt designs for the shop, rather than the fucking shit you got in there in a minute. But there we go.
Go on, Ben.
I was just going to say, a couple of points. I haven't watched the documentary. I'm not as commercially probably into it as probably all you guys are, but just looking at it as a club of the size that we are, and you said it there, Stephen, we're not a club that sells loads of merchandise or shirts, I would imagine, compared to anyone else probably in the football league, where we're probably quite low. It's not like we've got 2 or 3 shops. We've got 1. So why would we enlist a third party to manage all that for us, where every asset is given to them, including the club shop, the keys to the club shop, the tills, everything? To me, that doesn't seem like the greatest of commercial moves.
Because it's like
I think Micky would speculate to. Go on.
Yeah, no. What I was going to say is, say for instance, tomorrow morning we decided that we wanted to do, loads of merchandise, everything else. We could either go out and spend tens of thousands of pounds on merchandise, on material, and everything else, or you can pretty much go down a pretty direct route, which is pretty much what Hummel was offering with their what was it? Weren't Terrace? Who was it? I can't think of the name of the company. What they run as. But basically, what they do is they will then put a T-shirt on their website. They carry no stock or bare minimum stock, and then what happens is that you'll basically go, "Yep, we'll have that. I'll have that design in that colour." Post it. Someone will print that, and then basically bung it in a bag, and it's out the door. And then what happens then is that you will get paid a fee, a smaller fee, but off that without actually holding any stock. So you don't actually have any liability.
But I think that's exactly
interesting. But this is why I think this is my angle of it of what I think happened. Hashtag said, regardless of what we sell until we hit a threshold, we get a flat fee from Elite Sports Group. So if you're Millwall and you say, like Ben says there, being the cynic, we don't sell a lot of shirts. So maybe if they fabricated it or help try to do a deal and be like, look, Elite Sports Group will give you £500,000 for 3 years, or I don't know, how much to quantify the money is. And if we hit certain thresholds afterwards, but if you're Mill, you might be thinking, we're never going to hit their numbers anyway. We'll just take the cash. Yeah. It might be worth more to us doing that than actually paying to do the distribution ourselves and selling the merchandise ourselves. So I reckon Mill must have been like, well, quid's in here. Let's just do it this way, and it backfired on us. Maybe that's something to say, because it is crazy. Yeah, why do you offship that to someone else when you could probably just do it yourself? But
it's not like we're a Man United or Liverpool, right, where we are shipping out to hundreds of thousands, millions of fans. Right? It's going to be, as I say, I buy all the shirts because I like giving the club some money. I don't wear them, but I buy them every year. But it's not. Yeah, it's not like. So it's not like 50,000 shirts, is it?
No, but I think
full kit.
I have to say, listen, if you've got a company that's basically sitting there saying to you, look, we'll give you X amount of money, like X hundreds of thousands of pounds, and we'll manage your shop so that, we'll staff it, we'll basically look after it, we'll do all the key, the e-commerce, we've got a website, everything else. It's a no-brainer deal, especially with the way that the Millwall shop's been run over the past years. So all of a sudden, in their eyes, and we get to the point where it all went wrong, but in their eyes, you've got a company what's basically established, proven, doing really well, got loads of contacts within fabric and merchandising areas. You go, well, it's a no-brainer, I do it. Then all of a sudden, there was a European court ruling regarding.
They got fined, basically. They got fined.
Price fixing with people with Rangers and Sports Direct, and they got hit with massive fines. I mean, millions and millions of pounds worth of fines. I think we're talking massive fines, and I think the Elite Group had about a $900,000 fine, and literally just after that all become public, 2 weeks later they went pop. But they were printing stuff and making stuff.
I read it was 9 million, by the way. 9 million.
I think that was direct. I think that was Sports Direct or Rangers. But yeah, I think they had about 900,000 bit. But then, like Hashtag says, they were basically, they're supposed to have agreed, they had a non-exclusivity on the brand, which basically means, because we've looked into this, basically means that I could design anything with a brand on it, send it to the brand owner and say, are you okay with this? They then say yes. We then go get the merchandise made and sell that item and pay them a small commission, which is obviously the same deal what they had. It's a small commission, normally 10, 15%. But they were making stuff as fast as they could without necessarily gaining all the rights or gaining the permissions, purely to just try. It was as if they were just trying to turn over. And if you watch the hashtag, it's what they say happened. I'm using their words from their video. It's basically what they did. They had loads of merch because they knew that hashtag's got a big following, a young following, so they could get away with pencil
Capitalise.
bottles, etc., etc., etc. But didn't tell. It weren't until hashtag got all their items back through the administrators, which, don't forget, they then had to pay for on top of what they've already paid as such. And then when they went through the boxes, they found stuff what they'd never agreed to. And I just wonder how much of that potentially happened at Millwall. And I just think the pain was, unbelievable. Do I think it could happen potentially again with Fanatics? Possibly. They're the same sort of setup, but I think they're probably a much bigger organisation because they do, NBA, NA, all of that. Stephen, what's your thing?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that all the catering that Millwall do as well isn't actually it's external companies that run the catering, isn't it? It's not the club that. So basically, what the club were looking to do, they were looking to outsource pretty much as they could because, again, for whatever reason, liability costs, whatever.
The club's only open 26 days a year.
And that to me, I get why they went down that route. But on what you said there, hashtag United, I don't know an awful lot about them. I'll be honest, I watched the video, which was interesting, and I watched it purely because it was linked directly to us and what happened to us. But if you think about, I reckon Millwall, when all of that was come out, and we would have had to buy some of our stock from the administrators as well, wouldn't we? We'd have had to have done all of that. I reckon they got all of that stock and they were absolutely shell shocked. And I don't think they really knew what hit them. And we criticise, I criticise. Commercially we don't get things right, but it was completely taken out of their hands at that point, and there was nothing they could do. There was absolutely nothing they could do.
Nice. I agree. I do agree. Should we have to think about Huskies?
Yep. Yeah, I mean, listen, there's loads and loads of rumours going around about Husky at the moment. It's unfounded, or it's unconfirmed as yet. The shirts what we leaked this week definitely do have Husky on the shirts. They're imprinted in. I know that there is a new sponsor for the training, which is great because there's obviously beneficial new money to them, and I don't think it's part of the original Husky one, but I don't know, maybe, but I know that that's coming in now, which is great. But yeah, listen, we can't confirm in any way that Husky or the rumours what are flying around are true. We have tried, but we're, as far as we're led to believe, Husky is still our sponsor at this moment in time. Whether that changes going forward or not, I don't know. We're not involved in top ranking talks. Are you?
I don't know, but I think what you can't get away from is commercially in the last year, whoever's been leading the commercial charge with this is having an absolute clanger. If no fault of their own as well. Let's be frank. If the shirt manufacturer you go to with a club record breaking deal has gone bust, and Husky are trying to get out of the club record breaking partner deal we done 4 years ago. I know when Millwall.
Well, we don't know cricket. I
know when Millwall were trying to scrape the barrel and try to reach as far as we can and try and get as much money in commercially as a club. And I do get the angle, because I imagine they're under pressure, these people in the commercial department, to make it happen. But it's not a good look. But at the same time, I guess we're a victim of trying to claw as much money as possible, because we need to compensate for the fact that we only have 14,000 people turn up every week. We only have X amount of shirt sales. We only turn over X amount. I totally get it, but you got to look at yourself sometimes and go, the shirt manufacturer's on bus. The kit sponsor is, allegedly, no one knows, is trying to get out of sponsoring the training kit, so there's no sponsor training kit now, and it's a bit of a mess. It's a mess. It's a mess.
I think the problem is that because of everything what's gone on with the shirt sponsor, I think that because of the timescales to get the training kit made, that there wasn't, because it's not Husky was sponsoring it this year. They basically, the kit's got the sponsor on, Husky on. They didn't get time, so I think the kit what the players are wearing at the moment for today and this week, I think haven't. But I think it
was a partner breaking partnership though, which would have been agreed for 4 or 5 years. Listen, I'm not criticising the club because the club's trying to reach above its means and try and get as much revenue as possible. But it's not a good look, is it?
I also think though, for a fan base that we don't like Ben. I mean, I maybe buy one of the shirts. I play football. The team I play is 6-a-side playing blue, so it's handy to have sometimes a Millwall shirt to play in because it suits. But I wouldn't go out of my way to buy all the kits, and I'm not that fussed in the kit, and I know a lot of the fan base are. But all of a sudden, everyone's interested. Everybody wants to know what the kit is. It's taken me really by surprise that so many people are so seemingly triggered by the fact that we haven't got a kit out yet and what colours they are. I don't understand it.
I'm led to believe that the kits I released are pretty much nailed on. There could be a few additions to that, but I'm pretty much under honesty that they're basically it. But look, listen, that's it. We're done for another week. If you want us to go into the hash side a little bit more, let us know. But we will put the link on the description on both the podcast and the YouTube show, so you can click on it and watch it yourself, and then maybe get involved in the comments and stuff like that. That's it. Well, thank you very much, gents, for another night, another show. That's it. You'll find us with new shows Monday, Wednesday, Friday. If you're not following us yet, get subscribed, get following, get across all social media. We are the #1 Millwall podcast with honesty, open views. What might offend